Welcome into a Friday. It is the Friday after Christmas. It is just me, but still action packed. We have in the NBA names like Brunson, Edwards, Luca, LeBron, Chef, the mainstays, Durant. And then in the NFL, just in quarterbacks, we have, names I have already forgot or don't know how to pronounce. This is Sports Idiot Nation. Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Get in, loser. Let's lose.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. Welcome back, sinners. This is Season 2 of Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. It is I, your humble host, flying solo, but we got a lot to get into. Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever it is that you do not celebrate. Hopefully you are stuffed and you were able to give everything that you wanted to give. So let's get into some sports, shall we? Yesterday, a big day and not a big day as far as some of the matchups. Let's go NFL first, and we'll get into some of the matchups that are coming up as well. So, uh, the NFL, bless their little hearts, they get the do-gooder award for the try hard. They were the Johnny Tryhards because the matchups that they had on paper, Cowboys, Commanders, the Commanders were supposed to be good. The Cowboys are just a team that they throw out there for ratings. No one ever expects them to be any good, even their own owner. But that was supposed to be a good matchup. Then Detroit and Minnesota. At the beginning of the season, looking at Christmas, I was like, holy cow, that is going to be an awesome game. Yikes. And then Chiefs and Broncos, like the Broncos just backslid into a win, and the Chiefs are like 6-10, and it's like, okay, that game was a joke. So, how did we get here? So first, the Commanders. I will say Debo looking a bit Debo-ish. uh, the 49ers doing just fine without him, but it was kind of cool to see. That was a nothing burger. Both the Cowboys and the Commanders are going absolutely nowhere. I don't know how many people even watch that game as you're cleaning up paper from Christmas and figuring out where the AAA batteries to put in your kids' toys. I don't even know, since I don't have any kids that I know of, I don't even know when you buy your kids' toys, do you even need AA or AAA batteries? I don't even know if that's a thing. Or A, if it comes with, or B, like, no, dude, those aren't even the kinds of toys that you get anymore. It doesn't have those kind of batteries. We're just past that. So I don't know. But the point is, I don't know how many people watched Cowboys Commanders. And then, so I want to get into the next game because let me get into my fantasy football real quick. I am, of course, in the championship game. Here is my team, and I'll tell you who I am matched up with. So I have Matthew Stafford as my quarterback. Herbert is on the bench. Herbert plays against Houston, like the number one defense in the last 5 years. So I have him on the bench. Matthew Stafford going against Atlanta. Uh, that advantage, Stafford. So I have Stafford. I have AJ Brown. He's been the last 3 weeks kind of a monster, getting some touchdowns and some good big plays. Jalen Waddle, kind of been steady Eddie. And then I have my running backs are Williams from the Rams. McCaffrey has been just an absolute hoss for me. He was the 6th overall pick. I had pick 6 in the draft, and he was still there. I know I'm a homer. I know I'm a Niner fan, but come on. I kind of had to take McCaffrey there at number 6. So, and it's worked out, obviously. And then I just picked up Hunter Henry, and because Hawkinson was out, and my backup was Ferguson. Now, he did get a touchdown, but then he left the game, and that's all he got. So I'm feeling good there. And then I also stream defenses. So I just get a new defense every week. I was able to pick up New England. They play the Jets. So feeling good about New England. So on the bench, as of right now, Devontae Adams is on the bench. Now, I will see by Sunday at 1 p.m. when Jalen Waddle plays. Or Sunday at 4, AJ Brown. I don't know. I don't know if Devontae Adams is going to play. Obviously, the points with Matthew Stafford throwing to Devontae is huge, and he leads the league in receiving touchdowns. So that's kind of why I'm in the championship anyway, is because I have Devontae Adams and McCaffrey. So we'll see. And then my kicker is Homer. I'm a homer. So Eddie Pinheiro, though, has been amazing. And then I'm going against Seattle defense. Aubrey, the kicker for Dallas, who got 17 points. Yikes. Gainwell from Pittsburgh. Strange is the tight end from Jacksonville. A-Chain, the Miami running back. Gibbs only got 5 points. Williams, the receiver for Detroit, only got 4 points. London, the Atlanta receiver, is questionable, and he has Trevor Lawrence. So I have a 59% chance of winning for fantasy. But I will tell you, the other receiver I had was Minnesota's Jordan Addison. Now, here's what is bonkers. Why don't you look up, if you don't believe me, the passing yards for the Minnesota Vikings? I'll wait. Go ahead. Pull up your ESPN app. Go ahead. Pull it up. Okay. Google. Okay. Come on, I'm giving you enough time here. Go ahead. The passing yards for the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings only passed for 3 more yards than you did watching this right now. And you had 0. So that tells you how many they had. 3. They had 3 passing yards. So you might say, well, how did Jordan Addison then get very many points? He happened to have a 65-yard rushing touchdown, which was barely a touchdown. It almost wasn't. So he had 1 rush attempt, 65 yards, and a touchdown, which is good enough for 12.5 points, which is why I have a 59% chance of winning, because I was like, I didn't want to put Jordan Addison in, but I did, and it was like, just roll the dice, and it totally worked out. He had no catches, but he had 65 yards and a touchdown, so I will take it. So I'm off to a good start there. Minnesota, though, again, I don't know if this is more about Minnesota or about Detroit. The fact that Detroit only gave up 3 yards passing, only gave up total yards that they gave up was only 161 that Detroit gave up, and they lost. And they lost handedly. I mean, turnovers, very, very bad. 6 turnovers. You're just not going to win very many games when they don't throw any picks, and they just don't turn the ball over compared to 6 on your end. So the Lions, hate to say I told you so, they are 8-8, and they are officially eliminated, which means the Packers are in. Little bit later, we'll go over up to the second what the playoffs are looking like. But I hate to say I told you so, but Lions, it was cute, but you're starting to see what it's like for teams like Kansas City, San Francisco, Philly, teams who are good, and then they're good again. The Lions are good, and then they slip because they're just not used to it. Like, it's cute, but it is hard to stay on top. It just is. And that's why you got to respect teams like the 49ers, the Chiefs. We'll see these newer teams that are coming in and are good. Jacksonville, Denver, the Patriots. We'll see. We'll see. Because these franchises have had some success in the past, but not recently. So this is a wait and see on if year in and year out over the next 2-3 years they're going to be good. This is just huge respect for teams like the Patriots of a few years ago. And again, bring up my 49ers. Since Shanahan has been there, as long as they're healthy, even this year they're not healthy and they're still winning. But they're just a mainstay. There are certain teams over the last decade that have been pretty good. The Bills. You got to give the Bills a lot of credit. Yeah, they may not win the division this year. The Patriots do look really good. But still, you can pencil in Josh Allen. After about year 2 in the league, you could pencil him in. Herbert is starting to get that maybe with Harbaugh now. Can you just pencil Herbert in and the Chargers? But the Lions I just don't think they quite have it. And I think the whole going for it on 4th down, that's over with, man. You gotta play football. This isn't just high school, just drop a play and just go and it doesn't matter. Like, it matters, dude. That's enough. Stop it. Like, it's not cute anymore because now that it's not working and now that your team is back to just like, now it's like, okay, that's not going to work anymore. So I'm interested to see what Detroit does from here. Hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Moving on to the last game. By the way, when we talked about the quarterback for these games, let's get into that real quick. So Max Brosmer, not a clue, and I'm not going to try and pretend. And let's be honest, since it's just me, I wasn't going to go into full detail and look at this guy's info. That was the first game, or the second game. The first one, Josh Johnson. Here's a little reminder for you. Remember when the Eagles lost to the Chiefs a few years ago, when they won the NFC Championship game because in the first quarter they broke Brock Purdy's arm, his UCL. And then who went in? Josh Johnson. And then he got a concussion. And then it was McCaffrey basically at quarterback. And Brock had to go in and just hand the ball off. He could not throw it. So he would just hand the ball off with his other hand. That's why the Eagles won that game. Also, go back and watch just real quick. Stay with me here. In the first quarter, on their opening drive, the Eagles had an incomplete pass to Devontae Smith that was ruled a completion, and we didn't challenge for some unknown reason, and it would have been overturned. We would have got the ball, and who knows how that game would have went. But that's neither here nor there. Just saying. So if you take away anything, that is Josh Johnson. He has been in the league over the last, I think he's played over the last 35 years, something like that. And he's played for 39 teams. Check that math out. So Josh Johnson was the quarterback, then Brosmer, and now here we go. Now I'm getting to Kansas City. So Kansas City's quarterback, I believe you pronounce this guy's name. He's been there for a little while, which is kind of crazy. But Chris Olodukun, Hadouken, we're just gonna call him. A lot like Hadouken Dave. Go ahead and look that up. Hadouken Dave. That was a fun episode. talking to our pal Dave. But Chris Hadouken, 13 for 22, 66 yards, and a touchdown. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But so we had 66 yards from Chris Hadouken, and we had 3 yards from Brosmer, and then I'll just look it up real quick. For the Washington Commanders, the passing yards for Josh Johnson, definitely more respectable at 198. So you had like 66 plus 3 plus 200. So you are under 275. You are under 275 yards passing between 3 quarterbacks. Yikes. That is very bad. The Chiefs, is this a ode to Travis Kelce, his last home game? The memes were going wild. The last time we'll have to see Taylor Swift at a football game, that kind of thing. So it's too early to tell, and so I'll give you my take, and that is yes, he's done. He's going on podcasts and interviews saying how much of an honor it was to play for the Kansas City Chiefs. Doesn't really make sense to say that when you're still just going to keep playing. It just does not make sense. Now, also, I do think with being engaged to A1 Taylor Swift that this was already decided. I think when he proposed and when they talked about that, they talked about 2 scenarios: going out with a bang or going out 6-10. Either they're going to make the playoffs and do this last push, or it's just going to be done. They're not going to make the playoffs. Either way, he probably talked that through with Taylor. I would hope so. I mean, I don't wish any couple to break up. So, dude, I hope you talk that through. I hope that's not just a willy-nilly decision. And so those interviews are kind of showing that, it's premeditated. This has been done for a while. First ballot Hall of Famer. There are many ways that I hate to admit, but there are many ways that Travis Kelce was better than George Kittle. I know George Kittle's a little bit younger, still has some tread on the tires, and he is a better blocking tight end than Travis Kelce, 1,000,000,000%. So complete tight end, I'll take Kittle, but I'm willing to admit that Kelce is first ballot Hall of Famer, top 5 tight end all time, and what he's done for the tight end position is nuts. And hell of a career. Go be a family man. You're still young. Go hang out with your brother. Hang out on Monday Night Football. Do the fun stuff that Jason does. And have some fun, man. You definitely deserve it. So let's talk about the Broncos for a second, because the Broncos now are 13-3. And I'm going to say that one more time. The Denver Broncos are 13-3. And that just is wild. They are a good team, don't get me wrong. But let's take a look at how we got here. So they lost to the Jaguars just not that long ago on last Sunday. So they played Sunday and lost by 2 touchdowns at home. Then they go to Kansas City and against Chris Hadouken, and they win at the last second. They needed pretty much every second of that. They did beat the Packers. They beat the horrendous Raiders by a whopping 1 score. They beat the Commanders by a whopping 1 point. They beat the Chiefs earlier, 22-19. That was a big win because the Chiefs were still vying for a playoff spot. They were really trying. They also beat the Raiders by a whopping 3 points, 10-7 for that. They beat the Texans by a whopping 3 points, 18-15. They crushed the Cowboys. They barely beat the Giants. They barely beat the Jets. They beat the Jets and Giants by a combined 8 points. A combined. That is bad. And giving up 32 points to the Giants. They beat the Eagles at Philly. That was a great win. They beat the Bengals 28-3. They lost to the Chargers 23-20 in September. That is not a bad loss whatsoever. They lost by 1 point the week before to the Colts 29-28. You remember that was the play where the guy jumped over the center and tried to block the kick. Can't do that. Then the Colts got to kick it again, and they made it. And that was when we thought the Colts were really good. We know how that kind of panned out. But those are the 3 losses. They lost to Jacksonville by a lot. They lost to the Chargers by 3 and the Colts by 1. So they have definitely shown that the Eagles, the Chiefs, they have beaten some good teams when they were at full strength. I mean, the Chiefs were the Chiefs, and they were a team that was hoping to make the playoffs at that point when they got beat. The Eagles, that win was very impressive. So the Broncos are for real. They do have a lot of cupcake wins and a lot of cupcakes that they've played in which they've laid an egg, but they still win barely. So I'm not completely sold. I mean, their offense is ranked 11th. Their rushing attack is ranked 18th. They score 24 points a game, which is mid. Their, defense is a lot better. They only give up 317 yards. They only give up 90 rushing yards, which is good enough for second in the league. And they're 5th in the league in giving up points. They don't even give up 20 points a game. And they average 24. So their average margin of victory is by more than a field goal. And you like to see that. But I don't know. Their defense does get off the field. They are ranked number 1 in getting off the field on third down. That is pretty huge. 33.5% of the time, if it's third down on the Broncos, you're going to have to punt. So that's pretty good, and defense travels. But it's still weird that we're living in a world where the Broncos are 13-3. So when we look at the AFC, here's what is big for this weekend still, because this weekend there's still you're not sure what's going to happen with the Steelers. There is a chance. There's a chance for the Ravens. So they play tomorrow night. And so as of right this second, the 1 seed is the Broncos, the 2 is the Patriots, and they would play the Texans. The Jaguars are the 3, and they would play the 6 Bills. And the 4 seed is the Steelers, and they would play the 5 seed Chargers, which Steelers-Chargers actually is kind of intriguing. If Aaron Rodgers can make a few plays, the Steelers may win a playoff game. And that's huge because they've been getting there all the time, but they never win anymore. So as it stands, that's how it is right now. But the Ravens still have a chance. And so, again, when you look at the schedule of the Steelers and the Ravens play the Packers at Green Bay. Lamar, we don't know what's going on. And the Packers have already clinched. So with the Lions losing yesterday, the Packers are already in. We just don't know what seed yet. But that's interesting because I don't know if the Packers are going to take any steps back either tomorrow Saturday or the following week when I believe they play the Bears. So that's interesting. Also, Saturday before the Packers play is Chargers Texans. And that's interesting because we don't know the Texans are 10-5, the Chargers are 11-4. And it's just that's a good matchup. It's going to be fun. I like the Texans in that game, but that's going to be fun. And then, like I said, the Packers play the Ravens. So Saturday is juicy. Saturday absolutely is juicy because both of those games matter for playoffs and seeding. And what if there's a major injury, that kind of thing. It's just huge. So um, we'll see, but that's gonna be fun. And then moving to Sunday, so I'll hold off on the Sunday night game because obviously I'm excited. Niners Bears, but the Buccaneers and the Panthers. So I know it's like who like we don't put any stock in the NFC South, but it's exciting for that division. It's exciting as a football fan, at least, to see who's going to come out of there because it affects the matchup of the other teams like Green Bay, Chicago, the Rams, Seahawks. Like, who's going to play? And is there a matchup that you're like, well, if the Panthers get in and they play the Rams, they beat the Rams. So like or if the Bucks get in, they beat the 49ers. They're one of only a couple teams to do it. So it's like it is interesting. So as we take a look at the Buccaneers, they play at Miami. Now, I hope Jalen Waddle for fantasy has 9 touchdowns, but that'll be interesting to see. Tua, that's kind of a joke in Miami. So it's kind of unfair because they're tanking now for the Dolphins are, and they're playing the Bucks who really need a win. But we'll see how that shakes out. And then the Panthers, they play the Seahawks, and that affects a lot of playoff seeding because the Seahawks need to keep winning if they want to keep the number 1 seed. So let's real quick, as of right now, we can jump to the NFC for playoffs. As of right now, playoffs, the 1 seed is the Seahawks. The 2 are the Bears. They would play the Packers at home. The Bears are the 2. The Packers are the 7. Ugh, that is awesome. Then the rematch, the number 3 Eagles play the number 6 Rams, and it would be again in Philly. And we all know the Rams feel like they should have beaten Philly and gone to the Super Bowl, and they would have beat City. So, and then the Panthers play the 49ers. If this is how it stays, the 4 seed Panthers would play the 5 seed 49ers in Carolina, and the 49ers handled business against them on Monday Night Football just a few weeks ago. So that's how it stands right now. But back to what we were talking about is the Panthers play the Seahawks. Now, again, that is huge because Seattle's the 1 seed right now, and as of right now, the Panthers are in the playoffs as the 4 seed, as the division winner, because they beat Tampa Bay. But if they lose and Tampa Bay wins out, meaning Tampa Bay wins against Miami and then wins the following week against Carolina, now Tampa is in and Carolina is out. So a lot can still happen. All these games matter. Like I said, it's always exciting. And then the Bills Eagles, man, is going to be fun. 10-5. First in the NFC East is the Eagles, and second in the AFC East is the 11-4 Bills. And I know that both teams are going to be in the playoffs. However, seeding matters and playing good football in December matters. That absolutely is going to be fun. I'm going to be glued. Great game. It's in Buffalo in December. I hope it's 58 inches of snow. I mean, that is going to be fun. Raiders, Giants, Jaguars, Colts. Only because the Jaguars, the Jaguars don't want to lose. They don't. But the Colts are kind of a joke. Keep in mind, the Colts were 7-1, and then they were 8-2. And they're going to finish the season probably 8-9. It's crazy. Titans, Saints, sorry. Bengals, Cardinals, Browns, Steelers. I don't give the Browns much chance. I know it's at their place. Jets, Patriots. I hope the Patriots shut them out and get 59 sacks because I am streaming them for fantasy. That game doesn't really matter. But now, the Bears, 49ers. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's get into some of the stats here. So this is the Sunday night game. Super hype. I'm watching it with a friend of mine who I have house sat for them, dog sat. I've coached 3 of their kids. The family dynamic is interesting because the husband is a Packer fan, and him and his boys are going to that game, and then his wife is a Bears fan, and I always run into her at the bar watching the Bears games because she wants to get away from her family who's a Packer fan. So my parents and I and maybe some other friends are going to go to the bar and watch this game with her, the Bears fan, and I am just overly excited. Ran into more Bears fans over Christmas, over the last couple of days, and they are acting humble. I don't think they think that they're going to win deep down. They're playing a really good team. I don't know what to tell you. I will try to be not biased over the next 5 minutes as we talk about this game. If you are a football fan, you are absolutely locked in. You want to get a good look at Caleb Williams and Brock Purdy. And keep this in mind, Brock Purdy has played a lot less football than, what would you say, every other quarterback? Literally. Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes, I know he's hurt now. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford. I almost said Andy Dalton. I meant to say Sam Darnold, and I almost said Andy Dalton. That's hilarious. But Sam, so Sam Darnold, all these guys, okay? You can name 10 quarterbacks who are decent, who have played way more than Brock Purdy. He was hurt. He had the turf toe. But Brock Purdy has thrown 17 touchdowns and has a quarterback rating of 102.1. That, again, I promise, I told you I'm not going to be biased. I'm just telling you that that's pretty good. Almost 1,800 yards in 7 games. That is pretty good. Now, Mac Jones also held down the fort, more than held down the fort. I mean, put up great numbers. But this team belongs to Brock Purdy, and he's showing it. Just a few days ago, with me in attendance, he threw for 5 touchdowns, was pretty remarkable. I will say Phillip Rivers did look pretty good. He's my age, and he did look pretty good. He underthrew the ball about 20% of the time. It is what it is. So then we look at the running back, DeAndre Swift, 7 touchdowns on the year, just under 1,000 yards rushing. He will get that this week. And Christian McCaffrey already over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. DJ Moore, 664 yards, 6 tutties. George Kittle has more receptions than DJ Moore as a tight end, and more touchdowns as well. He has 7, and it looks like he'll be out. It's not for sure what's going to happen. So those are some of the playmakers. Then offensively, total yards, advantage Bears. In passing yards, advantage Niners. Rushing yards, big time advantage Bears. Although you got Christian McCaffrey on the other side. So again, not being a homer, just keeping it real, advantage might not be as big as what you're thinking. So we'll see how that goes. Points advantage Niners barely. Niners scored 26.1, Bears scored 25.8. Not a real advantage. Third down percent, both teams are excellent, but the Niners are second in the whole league. Bears are sixth. Then defense, this is where it can get interesting. This is where the score might be 49-48. Both defenses' total yards are not very good. Passing game, they are not very good. Rushing, Niners only give up 102.9, which is good enough for eighth. Overall, the Bears are bad at giving up rushing yards. Points, they're both at 21.3 for the Niners, 23.6 for the Bears. And third down conversion, getting off the field. Remember, we talked about how good Denver is at getting off the field. If it's third down on Denver, chances are you're going to have to punt. Well, chances are it's 50-50 if you're going to punt or not. Both teams are in the middle of the pack. So I just think this game will be high scoring. Take the over, I guess, if you're betting. But this is the game of the week. Both teams are 11-4. The Bears, of course, are leading the division, and the Niners are number 2 in the division because they still have to play the Seahawks, and the Seahawks hold the better record at 12-3. So, going to be amazing. It's super exciting to see this team on another primetime game, and so advantage Niners. They are picked to win by more than a field goal, but I think this game is going to be like a 33-27 or 33-30, something like that. I think it's going to be a lot of scoring. So going to be locked in, going to be fun. NFL just getting wild at the end of the year. Let us now shift to NBA. This had a little bit more star power. The one game that I thought was actually really, really good was the Knicks Cavs game. The sequence over the last 2 minutes going back and forth was just amazing. The Knicks scored 42 points to come from behind in the fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson had 34, as did Spida. Donovan Mitchell had 34 as well. That game was it was a solid Christmas game. When you had on the NFL side these quarterbacks that either you don't know or can't pronounce their names, hopefully you got to catch some of that game. Don't look now, but the Knicks have not even lost 10 games yet. They have not lost double digits. So that game was really good. The other game I liked watching, shocker, he's got hurt in the game, was the unibrow. But I wanted to see Cooper Flagg, and 27 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. Chef Curry, slow start, did okay. Jimmy Butler, 14-9. The Warriors won, kind of going away at the fourth quarter. But it was a game where the Mavericks, were keeping it close, and then the Warriors kind of imposed their will after the debacle that was Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. I know you probably saw about that. They had such a huge blow-up fight that Draymond took his ball and went home. He left the huddle in the middle of getting reamed, left the huddle and just went back to the locker room. And everyone's like, okay. And then yesterday in an interview or something, Jimmy Butler said it turned him on. Whatever that means, bro. He said, yeah, I liked it. Yeah, we need more of that. Steve Kerr said it wasn't his finest hour. Draymond Green said he shouldn't have done it. All this, they're apologizing. And Jimmy Butler's in the corner. Yeah, yeah, that's awkward. That game was good. Here's what we need to talk about. Okay, in March, April, May, June. Okay, it's going to be very hard to beat the Thunder 4 times. However, the San Antonio Spurs have already done it 3 times. At some point, you do start to feel the confidence. I know everyone is saying, well, good luck beating them 4 times in a series. Well, you just beat them 3 for 3. You just beat them 3 times in a month. I don't know what to tell you. Like, at some point, you got to feel like, hey, this is, advantage San Antonio. So they beat them handedly. De'Aaron Fox, there's been a De'Aaron Fox sighting. He dropped almost 30. Wemby did his thing. They won by 15. I mean, just going away at the end. So I don't know. It does make you raise. It's enough to make you raise your eyebrow a little bit that the Thunder have a little bit of crack in that armor. I still think they're the overwhelming favorites, but come on. You lose to a team 3 times in a month. You don't think that team has an advantage psychologically as you get to the playoffs, assuming that they meet. I would be okay with that if they meet in the conference championship, Western Conference. That would be if it was Warriors, Nuggets, Spurs, and Thunder. Man, I would not be upset at all. I don't think the Warriors are making the Final Four in the Western Conference, but just as a Warriors fan, I'd be down. Another game, already the coach, JJ Redick, it was just very upset, saying we don't care right now, blah, blah, blah. Luka cares. He had 27, 7, and 5. But so did Kevin Durant, basically had like the same stat line, basically. And the Rockets won kind of a blowout. That was the really only game that was kind of a blowout. Like the Nuggets and Timberwolves, Ant kind of hurt his arm a little bit. That game was close until Joker kind of took over again, had over 30, they did their thing, mainly pulled away. But really, I think it's about the Spurs and Thunder, and it was about the Knicks and Cavs. Those games were like the best games. And overall, last year, the NFL took over Christmas. This year was definitely the NBA because, again, you just had teams that were a dud that we didn't know was going to be that bad. From the Commanders to the Cowboys to the Lions and the Vikings. And then the Broncos were the only good team out of these, and they played the Chiefs, who were just uninspired. And so football was definitely mid, and the NBA was definitely way better this year. Last year it was reversed. I guess you'll probably have this. It'll be the way it goes. But yeah, the NBA definitely had it. LeBron played his 20th Christmas game. I'm not ever going to be a guy that's going to just slob on LeBron, but I'm also not I don't classify myself as a hater on LeBron. I don't think I'm a LeBron hater, but to be doing 18 points, 5 assists, he did more than okay, I think, and it's just crazy to see. There's going to be a time where LeBron doesn't play anymore, and we're going to be like, remember when LeBron was in his upper 30s still dunking on people? Remember when he did turn 40 and still drop 30 points or, all this stuff? Like, it is significant to see that. So again, we'll do a show, I'm sure, with the fellas when he does retire, and we look at the numbers, look at the accomplishments, try and compare it. We'll want to talk about it, but LeBron's still doing his thing. Most of the other Lakers are not, besides Luka. So we'll see if that tirade that JJ went on does any good. The last thing I want to leave you with is, did you see it was on Amazon, I believe. They showed a teaser for Nick Cage as John Madden and Christian Bale as Al Davis. And I am very intrigued by this. I think Christian Bale will do a better Al Davis than Nick Cage doing a John Madden, just because from what I've seen so far, the voice is better for Al Davis. But I just think it's still going to be really good. I'm excited to see it. Comes out 2026 over Thanksgiving, which Madden is always about the Thanksgiving, the turducken, and all that. So that makes sense, but we'll see how it goes. Reminder that we are all over the social medias, all of the Sinnerverse. We have Turtles Idiot Nation is one of the most fun ones. Just, if you do not follow Turtles Idiot Nation, it's got over 5,000 followers, I believe. Check it out. It's just cool. If you grew up watching Ninja Turtles, it's good. We got Gamer Idiot Nation. If you remember the first time you played Mario 2, we talked about that a couple days ago. Gamer Idiot Nation. If you're into hockey, we have that Puck Idiot Nation. If you're into football, there's Gridiron, Hoops Idiot Nation, of course. All started by our beloved Titans Idiot Nation. All the guys are busy. It's Friday after Christmas. They're still got family stuff going on, so that's why I'm here. But also a reminder: new episodes come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which means we will see you Monday. Thank you for watching this episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Remember, we are on all social media and on YouTube, and the podcast can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Remember, new episodes are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And remember, because you watch Sports Idiot Nation,
you would be the smartest idiot in the whole world.